Shalom, ladies, and welcome back. We are on verse 29 of Proverbs 31. And yes, so this one is a little bit of a different one. There's not much to actually study in it, but there is a challenge. And I think this one could be a little bit of a difficult one for you. Because I know I am like that. I find it very difficult to ask other people what they think about me. And especially, I think, our husbands and our children. Because are they going to be honest? Yes. I think your children and your husband are the most honest. But it depends on what kind of woman you are. If you have been really going through this Proverbs 31 and made those changes to not be one of those women who will explode when you don't hear what you want, or going to sulk and manipulate your husband to eventually say what he thinks you want to hear, then he will be honest with you. And yeah, but let's get straight into it before I give you the challenge. So Proverbs 31 verse 29, there we go. It says, many daughters have done nobly, but you have risen above them all. I think we all as women would love to know that our husband looks at us and thinks we are the most beautiful, the greatest, the most gifted, the most loving, the most beautiful woman, wife or lady on the planet of the earth. Is it reality? Do we all get it? Unfortunately, I don't think so. Men are men. Men have their own trials. They have their own challenges. I have seen and I have heard of, couples where the man just absolutely, even when the woman's hair looks like she's wrestled with a pillow and, maybe is struggling with a cold and has a snotty red nose, who will think she's the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. Or, a man that will make a comment after his wife's given birth and going, look at how beautiful she is. And there you look at her and her hair's all sweaty and she's all flushed and swollen and, looking terrible after giving birth, because giving birth is not easy. And you just go, how does he see her so beautiful? It's because they see the inside. And I think we want to not be seen just for our exterior, but we want to be seen as beautiful, as what we are inside flourishes outside and shines on our face. And that's what the Proverbs 31 woman is. But we all long to be seen for more than just what's on the outside. And when you do find a man who sees you that way, it is great. It is a blessing. If you don't have that, I want to encourage you, and I'm going to be reading now from what is written. And this is Robin's husband who actually wrote this section, this chapter in this Woman of Valor study, because Robin obviously couldn't write about this. How do you know what others say about you? And so she got her husband to write this. And I want to specifically focus on page 150 and 151, which is for a word to singles. And this is not just for single women who are doing this study, but for any woman who feels like you are fighting this battle alone, that you are walking this path alone, that you are maybe the only spiritual one in your home, or that you maybe have a husband but he's not really stepping up as priest and king. So I hope this will be encouraging to you. Some of you may be reading this and saying to yourself, but what if I have no husband to praise me, no children to rise up and call me blessed? How do these verses apply to me as a single woman? Or, like I said, a woman without a godly husband? I have some encouraging news for you. God has not overlooked you. If we look at the original language in which Solomon penned these words, we will find answers to these important questions. The word husband occurs approximately 80 times in English translations of the Old Testament, and in most of these occurrences, the Hebrew word used is ish, the common word for man. Thus, most of the time when the Bible refers to a woman's husband, it refers to her man, Isha. But there's a second Hebrew word that sometimes gets translated as husband. It is the word Baal, which simply means master or lord, and it is used only 12 times in the Hebrew scriptures. 3 of these 12 occurrences are right here in the Woman of Valor passage. Let's reread them, but this time substituting the word master in place of husband. The heart of a master trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. Her master is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. Her children rise up and bless her, her master also, and he praises her. Because the wise Solomon chose this word for husband, we are provided an alternate way of reading these 3 verses. Since the word Baal is employed here instead of Ish, both the married and single woman may read and apply these verses to her true and ultimate master, Yeshua the Messiah. The first and third of these verses now have a new impact. The heart of Yeshua trusts in her, and Yeshua also rises up and he praises her. Isn't that beautiful? As has been pointed out in the beginning of this book, the scope of the Woman of Valor passage goes far beyond just the relationship between husband and wife, but ultimately portrays the relationship between King Messiah and his glorious bride. I think that somehow Solomon must have had this in mind as he so carefully chose his words in composing the Woman of Valor. But what about the past, where her children rise up and call her blessed? How can that be fulfilled for a single woman who has no children? Consider this beautiful passage from Isaiah. This is Isaiah 56, 3-5. Let not the foreigner who has joined himself to Adonai say, Adonai will surely separate me from his people. And let not the eunuch say, behold, I'm a dry tree. For thus says Adonai, to the eunuchs who keep my Sabbaths, who choose the things that please me and hold fast my covenant, I will give in my house and with my walls a memorial and a name better than sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Note the words of God words God speak to the eunuch. Tongue twisted. One who is completely incapable of reproducing. He tells him that he is not dry, a fruitless tree, but that he will give him a memorial and a name that is better than sons and daughters. If this can be true for a eunuch, it can certainly be true for a single woman. The phrase, a memorial and a name, in Hebrew is Yad Vashem. You may recognize this as the name of the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem, a place of remembrance for those who might otherwise have been forgotten. But the memorial and name that God promises to those who have no physical children is one that is even better than sons and daughters. But how can such a thing be? The promises in this passage are to those who serve God with free and open hearts and thus produce fruit for his kingdom. In this way, they are fulfilling the first commandment in the Bible, be fruitful and multiply. However, they are doing so in the context of not physical reproduction, but of spiritual birthing souls, or should I say rebirthing souls, by pouring our lives into others and influencing them to love and to serve God. We produce spiritual sons and daughters. This is why Paul can refer to his disciple Timothy as his beloved son. So in summary, ladies, be encouraged. Many women have done excellently. If they can do this, so can you. And then this is what he writes further on, and I think this is quite applicable. Husbands, you don't deserve your amazing wife, but you can start to become a husband who does by beginning to recognize and praise your qualities and achievements. Wouldn't that be so nice? You don't have to have a husband in order to be fruitful and multiply in internal and spiritual ways. But know this, these children, whether physical or spiritual, will rise to bless you, and your master will also. He will say to you, many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. I really pray that you will experience that blessing from Father. That as you grow as a woman of valor through this study and taking that and applying it practically, that you would be able to stand before Yeshua one day and he will say, well done, good and faithful servant. Here's just a few questions that I want you to ponder on, or not ponder on, to do. So, if you feel brave enough, if you're married, to ask your husband to describe you and what he loves about you, and ask your children to describe what they love about you. And if you're not married, ask your parents, ask your siblings, or ask your close friends, but people that you know are going to be honest with you. And take the negative things as well. If there is anything that they say negatively, don't see it as an attack. You ask them to be honest with you. See it as a challenge for you to improve, to become a better version of you, or a better version of Yeshua the Messiah, actually, I should say. And if you feel like you would like to share or encourage someone else, please do so in the comments or via the Telegram group, if you're part of the Telegram group. But I've really enjoyed doing this study with you. We've got 2 more verses left, and then we are done with Proverbs 31. If you have any questions, any comments, please post down in the comments section below. Blessings and shalom.